Hi. So it took a while until I came back, but I'm here again. And this is my new, well, not exactly new, but new Laythe SSTO. I was planning this for quite a while, and finally I succeeded with this. Just as most SSTOs, this is very heavy upon takeoff. Not to mention the center of mass is a bit forward, so it's very hard to pull up with it. But there is some movement of the center of mass during the mission. I didn't want it to be unstable when it arrives back with empty tanks and there is no way to balance it. So basically it starts with the Rapier engines in air bracing mode and then starts the nuclear engines after 10 kilometers or so. And for a short, after that, for a short while, and the air bracing mode is out, there's a short burst of closed cycle mode. Rapiers, which pushes it high enough so that the nukes can just do their job and circularize it completely. Well, the rest is just as usual. We have to somehow get to Joule and use, for example, any of the moons, but for example, in this case, Laythe, to help us capturing the orbit in the Joule or Julian system. And to do this with the nuclear engines, it's a bit hard because you can't do it in a single burn. It has around 0.2 thrust-to-weight ratio, so it's not very efficient in that sense. So I have to do 3 burns. In fact, it's very hard to do it because I would need a forced burn, but at that time I'm already on an escape orbit, so I have to do with what I've got with the previous burn, and yeah, it makes it hard to optimize. So there's this usual fiddling with the maneuver nodes, and there really should be something better for this, but there isn't, so I have to use this. I'm just trying to find a point where would it be optimal to capture with Laythe. And whatever I do, I can't really have an orbit that is closer to the orbit of Laythe itself. So it means that there will be a higher speed, or actually a velocity vector difference when I arrive back at the Laythe. Luckily, I can set it up so that with a very minor adjustment, I will be able to arrive back at Laythe again. So that needs very little delta V to capture. But still, even as this airplane, as heat tolerant as it is, it was a bit risky to do that. As it turned out, it was really risky. So this is a correction after arriving the Joule system to have a plane correction for free, also in this case to 0.1 degrees, I think. So it's almost in plane with my target Laythe. But we can see that the orbit is not really aligning with Laythe, so there will be this huge difference in speed. So this is the capture going by Laythe. I have to go by. Can't break at this time because it's too fast to capture, or maybe not, but well, it's hard to do it that way. So it's safer to do it this way: first the gravity assisted capture and then an arrow capture. And even for that, I did some slowing down because Laythe is tricky in that sense. It's somehow so hot when you capture that it's hard to do it correctly. So here is this burn that helps me capture, not completely capture, just some slowing down. And after that we are going in nose first. So there is a reason that I use the docking port on the nose, because that has a higher heat tolerance, and it's really useful. There is a need for pumping the fuel around, because otherwise I don't have the unstable aerodynamic capability to pitch my nose up enough, and then it just burns. And that's not really a good sign. It can survive that, even that in some cases, but it surely cannot go back to carbon. So after the capture, we are here in orbit, and that's nice. And I didn't need to wait any time to land at my designated place there next to that crater in the island. Now there is a backup location for landing. A bit east from this island, a bit south from the equator, there is a lot flatter, smaller island, and that is better for landing because it has a low altitude, around 1 kilometer, and almost completely flat. So it's a really safe place to land. But from that, I have to come back to the equator to make a correct burn, and that requires fuel, and I didn't want to waste fuel for that. So I decided to land there in this more risky mountain location, which full of these kind of slopes, and it's a lot harder to do. Not to mention there is less air because high altitude. And this is the usual going out with the orange suits. And yeah, all four are here. Not actually useful. This craft has an antenna, but doesn't have any science instruments. It could bring the smaller ones maybe, but it's not really created for that. It's merely just a passenger plane. Although I've pumped some fuel to the front after landing so that it doesn't tip backwards and ruin its tail, because the wheels are too close to the center of mass. But it still have a very short distance between the center of mass and center of lift, so it can take off very easily in this half-empty state. And the Rapier engines have enough power to almost push it into orbit, so there's just very little help needed from the nuclear engines to finish the orbital burn, which means I don't waste enough fuel, and it can make it back to the space center if I so desire, or just land anywhere on Kerbin with a huge delta V margin left, which is a lot better than I expected it to be. Now, getting back to Kerbin was harder than I expected it to be, because there was some. First of all, I had to wait, and at that low orbit, I didn't have any other possibility just to switch back to the space center, to tracking station, to spend the time faster. That was the first thing. Then I didn't get the encounter. I expected it to be there, so yeah, I spent some time on it. And also, after I got the encounter, and even I did my injection burn, turned out that halfway through, I was just already halfway to Kerbin when I lost the encounter. I don't know why. It should have happened, because lately the encounters were quite stable. The orbits were stable, a lot more stable than they used to be. There was no flickering and stuff like that. It was rock solid, and after a given point, it just vanished. And it's very annoying, because I had to do a correction burn en route for that. Not too big. It was just 30 meters per second, but still, it was an extra correction I needed to do for this. And to mention, I loaded it back several times, and so yeah, this mission didn't go exactly the way I wanted it to. So here I got the encounter, and I did a correction which shouldn't have been there, so I lost around 200 meters per second to this one. So I messed up my injection burn. That's why it was there. But I knew that it has enough reserves to be successful even like this. The problem was here. later on. And I had to do this second correction. What shouldn't have been there also, but it was completely the fault of the game. It was a smaller one, but still it was there, and I had to spend time on it. So the other reason why this mission wasn't going so well is I didn't practice enough. So I made some mistakes, what I usually want to avoid. But with the dual mission, you have so much going around. Like you can mess up so many things that it's unlikely to do it without mistakes, even if you practice it. So this is the whole case. I actually say that okay, I load back because I don't want to waste again 1.5 hours on this. And here at the end, there was another issue. I was doing an error capture, and I was doing it too well. So I realized I'm falling down to the atmosphere. But turned out that I was right on track to the space center, a little bit to the north. So I tried to correct this inclination in the atmosphere while trying to keep my altitude with the nuclear engines in a high atmosphere, and also turning to the right, so towards south, so that my destination, the space center, is more on my trajectory. And it was a fight to achieve this, but I still had some fuel left, so I was quite confident that I can do this, and it was successful. I managed to save this one, and I was on track because I was around 50 kilometers at this peninsula, and I knew that then it's okay, it will be okay with a trajectory like this because it glides so well, especially when it's empty. So it was almost empty at this point. So finally, I was on my way to the space center, a bit from the north, which is unusual because normally I come here from my 72-kilometer parking orbit. But this is a plane, so I can afford this. It was finally on approach, and I had to work my way through these slowing maneuvers to be slow enough to land. I messed up a little bit towards the end because I missed the runway. Actually, I was flying over it and I crossed it in the air. But still, it was a successful mission, except for the mistakes. What we will see next. Thanks for watching. Bye.